the rook on the 7th. After bishop c2, I'm forcibly winning a piece now with queen a4, stronger than queen e4 because then rook c1, and I can't add more pressure. But with queen a4, my bishop can still go to e4. I'm a bit lucky that this bishop is also defending the rook, otherwise this wouldn't be possible, of course. So rook c1, bishop e4, winning a piece. And I don't mind check because I think that will be a target because rook takes e2 and bishop takes b1. So I let him have a check, king a8. And we've reached move 40. So I've got an extra hour now on the clock to think about this. So his move 41 was rook b4. So I pause for thought. I don't really want to mess up this position. And I'm sure there are ways of messing it up. So, material up here, but my king is a bit more naked than before in this position, and this rook and queen, you know, I don't want this queen ploughing over to mate me, or this knight coming in like e6 to c7. So what do? I was looking at either queen a2 or queen c6 as the two main candidate moves. I don't like to use the term candidate moves because it does remind me of a cute fluffy idea, when in fact the whole, candidate moves to me is a way of being resourceful. If you look at all the candidate moves in the position, especially a sharp tactical position, then you might find a nice, crushing, forcing move. So candidate moves is an aggressive weapon, but again, it's something, to think about for when it's appropriate. Instead of listing every candidate move in every position, it's in some positions which are especially sharp and tactical in nature, then this idea of candidate moves is also a dangerous weapon and not a cute fluffy idea. So here, either queen a2 or queen c6. I've got limited time on my clock, so I restrict my calculation to these two. Now, one of the things, queen c6, I was looking at knight takes e6, and here I actually thought bishop a5, and this would be fine for black, because I'm still eyeing c7 with the bishop. Because say, I had to take after knight c7 check, say I did have to take with the queen, then this is still completely winning for black, because this check is harmless, because queen a7, and this bishop is on the diagonal. So maybe there aren't that many ways of losing after queen c6, but Rybka gives actually a dangerous move here of d5. So d5. Now so ed and I lose my queen, so that's a spectacular way to lose. Or rook takes d5, offering an exchange sack to try and weaken white's king further. But knight takes, queen takes, knight d4. So this white would still be alive here, wouldn't be getting mated. What I found was actually in this position after rook b4, I thought this was much more clear cut. Queen a2. So immediately I'm restricting the opponent's options as well. He can't take on e6 with the knight because of rook e2 and I'm mating him. So if he has to take with the queen, that simplified my calculation of position. So queen takes e6, say. King f2 was in the game, but let's say queen takes e6. Now, there was a move here, which I wonder if you can spot, which I found was a clinical finish, to finish off white. I'll give you 10 seconds, starting from now. Okay, the move I thought was completely killing was bishop takes f4. Because if knight takes f4, then queen a1 is mating, with the rook stopping the king coming out. So back row mating, in effect. And the important thing is that the queen's got no useful checks. It can't use c6, it can't use a6, there's no rook a4, there's no rook b8. These things, you might as well calculate them just safely. There's no useful checks for white. And if there's no useful checks, then the next move, when I'm threatening rook e2, so this would be all over. So my opponent realised that, so he played actually king f2. Now can you find the next move which really finishes off white? I'll give you another 10 seconds starting from now. Okay, Now, if you played bishop takes f4, give yourself minus 20 points because you've just been allowing queen takes d8. It's completely winning for white. If you had found bishop d3, give yourself 20 points. Bishop d3. So just exerting more pressure on this poor pinned piece. My opponent played queen takes e6, and now I just played rook takes e2. Rook takes e2 check, and he let me mate him with king f3. So rook f2 mate. That was it. So FM Dave Leisure, I beat him now again, like I did last year. It's always good to beat a title player. It's good fun. Let's go over this game again then. So a French defence with a very uncompromising variation, accepting the imbalances in the position, black having the double pawns, but potential counterplay on the g-file and the bishop pair. This dark square bishop potentially is very useful. My opponent throws in this disruptive check and prepares to castle queenside. And in this variation, I think white, by castling queenside, is less likely to use a4 and a5 as a battering ram. It's a key point. Although the rook on d1 is more likely to be used for d5 to try and as a temporary pawn sack. So the promising thing, by the way, I thought the bishop, on c4 is blocking c4. So c4 and d5 might be slow if white wanted to create that breakthrough with d5 in the centre. Anyway, I castle queenside by pairing it by queen c7, castle queenside. Now king b8. So making my position a little bit safer. And now after knight c3, my opponent gave me an immediate plan, taking into account some finesses of the position, that I can gain a tempo first on the bishop, and now I can use this pin on c3 to prepare a kind of Slav defence-like unleashing of the previously bad bishop, a6 and c5. It just gives him a little bit more time to implement that plan. But first I weaken the diagonal a bit, and then I play a6. So now I start to get a nice positional advantage after c5. My opponent's position starts to look a little bit bleak already. So strategically, it's looking a bit bad for white. Rook e3, now knight b6. Knight g1, I play f5. Maybe a little bit controversial. Maybe Rivka gives actually, believe it or not, e5. I wouldn't even be considering e5, but actually e5 in this particular position, because otherwise, f5 is usually a problem. But with the knight on g1, it's difficult to arrange, a blockade on f5, and it's doing a useful function here, attacking that d pawn. So it's difficult for white to parry this. But there's also what else is here after knight g1? Well, there's a wealth of options, I think, because black's better. So anyway, I play f5, and he plays knight h3. So I just double up rooks now, and knight d5, I win the exchange. And now I just try and loosen white's position with this a5 and b4, and I end up sacking f6 because I want to get a rook on the 7th rank, instead of my rooks doing nothing, attacking this d4, which is totally solidified by white with this pawn triangle. So I sack f6 to get my rook to the 7th, which ends up winning a piece. After winning a piece, there's some slight tactical issues to be concerned about. Nothing too serious. Queen a2, Rivka agrees, is the most clinical move here. So it ties down the knight on f4. So after king f2, now bishop d3, and it's all over. I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave any comments on YouTube. Thanks very much.